to celebrate the United Nations International Day of Nonviolence, an occasion that GIIS looks forward to every year and celebrates with tremendous solicitude.
In the words of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Gandhi proved that nonviolence can change history. Let us be inspired by his courage and conviction as we continue our work to advance peace, sustainable development, and human rights for all people of the world. The International Day of Nonviolence is marked on 2nd October, the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, leader of the Indian independence movement and pioneer of the philosophy and the strategy of nonviolence. International Day is an occasion to disseminate the message of nonviolence, including through education and public awareness. The resolution reaffirms the universal relevance of the principle of nonviolence and the desire to secure a culture of peace, tolerance, and understanding.
Gandhian values are an integral part of our school culture. The bust of Mahatma Gandhi stands tall at the entrance, and the Gandhi Center, at the very heart of our campus, constantly reminds us that as the world is globalizing rapidly, Gandhi's ideologies of oneness and nonviolence are very relevant to us students who are the future global citizens. On that note, we begin this day with the beautiful Sarvadharma prayer by our fellow students.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. वाहे गुरु जी का खालसा वाहे गुरु जी की फतेह।
Thank you, friends, for the soulful rendition of the prayer. I now invite Chairman and co-founder, Mr. Atul Temurnikar, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, please.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, everyone. Today is a momentous day as we celebrate the 151st anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. This year's format is rather different than usual. The COVID-19 pandemic situation has forced us to maintain some new social rules for the health benefit of everyone, which is why we see limited audience in the attendance and many others joining us virtually. However, joining us in person is His Excellency Mr. P. Kumaran, the High Commissioner of India to Singapore. Thank you, sir, for taking time from your busy schedule and to engage with the community on such a very special occasion such as this. Mr. Kumaran has come to Singapore after a highly successful stint in the Middle East, in Qatar, where he was very popular among the Indian community. His presence in Singapore, I'm sure, is going to be equally fruitful in strengthening the relations between the two great nations of Singapore and India and representing the diaspora. Thank you also, Mr. Alexander, President of United Nations Association of Singapore, who has joined us virtually for this event, and Mr. Tushar Doshi from Gopio. I understand you are in person. The Global Schools Foundation has always been a proponent of the Gandhian ideologies. The co-founder of our school, late Justice C.S. Dharmadhikari, was a stalwart Gandhian and was always emphasizing on imparting virtues of universal brotherhood as preached by our Mahatma Gandhi ji. 2020 has been a very different year. The pandemic has brought the world together in terms of losses that countries and the economies have suffered at large. At times, if there is one thing that has kept the entire world together and ticking, was a feeling of oneness and universal brotherhood, which Gandhiji always talked about. Being a 21st century school with a vision of grooming students to be global citizens, the Global Schools Foundation has completely embraced the Gandhiji's ideologies of tolerance and coexistence in all our school communities. They play an important role in helping shape our students with rich values and as global citizens who are conscientious and ethical human beings. The most undefinable message of Mahatma Gandhi is of nonviolence, a timeless and relevant message that is the most important legacy that we must pass to the next generation. Coexisting with each other and cherishing diversity is what we stand for at GIS and the Global Schools Foundation. The peace curriculum, which is part of the main curriculum, teaches the students concepts of universal brotherhood, acceptance and celebration of differences, shunning violence, and spreading the message of kindness, humility, and love. We empower every student to stand up for an equal society where there is no subservience and everyone has a voice. Through community service and activities such as Racial Harmony Day and collaborations with organizations such as Friends of Singa, Sinda, and students bring into practice what they have learned into classrooms. We have contributed in many ways towards the universal peace and brotherhood to emphasize Gandhiji's message that is timeless and unbound by the geographical boundaries. The Gandhi Center that we established in the school in 2005 is now the only museum in Singapore dedicated to the works of Gandhiji. Presently, the Honorable Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, in the last year addressed at the sidelines of UNGA, where there was a function done on the celebrations of Mahatma Gandhi. And he spoke on the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the contemporary world. And it is a matter of pride that he referred to a school in Singapore which has the Mahatma Gandhi Center for Universal Values in its campus. We are very thankful to Honorable Prime Minister for mentioning that. The center is a symbol of harmony, and how the statue of Gandhi is a great inspiration for our young children to follow Gandhian principles of peace and harmony. We are proud of our Gandhi Center and to follow the values preached by Gandhiji in everything we do. A bust of Gandhiji is elegantly poised at the nest area of our campuses, and our syllabus has incorporated a peace curriculum with an aim to teach the students importance of Gandhiji's and his views, and we have been guided in our journey by personalities who were staunch followers of Gandhian values. Needless to say, Gandhiji's teachings are an inspiration in everything we do. I would like to conclude my speech by adding that Global Indian International School has been a devoted follower of the Gandhian philosophy and his teachings, which have constantly been a guiding light for the school and its teachers and students. By following Gandhian principles, we do not look in the past, but progress towards a futuristic world that needs to unite and grow together to handle bigger problems and challenges like terrorism and environmental threats. I sincerely believe that our students will be, like Gandhiji said, the change that they want to see in the world and help to build a strong community that will emulate the Gandhian ethos. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Mr. Tushar Doshi, representative of Gopio Singapore, to kindly address the gathering. Sir, please.
Thank you, MCs, and good morning. Your Excellency Shri P. Kumaranji, High Commissioner of India to Singapore, special guests, students, and friends watching on social media. We gather in a physical and virtual format this year to celebrate the birth of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who was called Bapu by many and Mahatma Gandhi by the world at large. Gandhiji was indeed one of the most influential leaders of our global history who fought peacefully against inequality and humanitarian causes. On 15th June 2007, the United Nations declared October 2nd as United Nations International Day of Non-Violence. So today, friends, we celebrate both these auspicious days. I share thoughts on some of Gandhiji's principles and how to apply them to make this a better world. Anything is possible. The lessons we learn from his life is to believe in ourselves and do what feels right. Never think any less of ourselves. Gandhiji spoke lots on equality for the human race and fought very hard for this fundamental principle. I quote Gandhiji, "The most common way people give up their powers is by thinking they don't have any." Non-violence, yet another of Gandhiji's fundamental principles. Follow the path of peace to handle tough situations. We are all tested time and again, and with the temptation to resort to anger, only to realize that we have pushed ourselves back and the need to restart. The peaceful path brings lasting results. I quote Gandhiji, "I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent." Simplicity is something that Gandhiji spoke about throughout his life as well. Simple living and high thinking was his mantra. We have all been told repeatedly, it takes a long time to acquire things, many of which we do not need. We should only use what is needed and nothing more. Another quote from Gandhiji, "There's enough on this planet for everyone's needs, but not for everyone's greeds." Truth, learning from our mistakes and improving ourselves to arrive at the right decisions and doing truthful things will become natural. Gandhiji said, "There is no God higher than the truth." Happiness is a state of being. It lives in moments of time which can be controlled. We think happiness is an outward feeling, but we are reminded that happiness is a manifestation of ourselves. I quote, "Happiness is when what you think, what you do, and what you say are in harmony." We can all be great leaders, and this I reach out to the students that have joined us virtually. Once you know what inspires us to keep doing goodness. I end today with one of my favorite quotes of Gandhiji. "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you very much, sir. We would now like to invite Mr. Alexander Charles Louis, President of the United Nations Association, Singapore, to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Your Excellency, High Commissioner, Mr. P. Kumaran, Chairman GIIS, Chairman GOPIO, CEO of SINDA, Mr. Jumaboy, Excellencies, distinguished guests. I was given 3 minutes to deliver the speech, and I'll try and keep it within the 3 minutes. Apologies if it exceeds by a few seconds. I hope there are no objections to me removing my mask. Okay, thank you. International days are occasions to educate the public on issues of concern, to mobilize political will and resources, to address global problems, and to celebrate and reinforce achievements of humanity. In marking the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, this International Day highlights the remarkable power of nonviolence and peaceful protests. It is also a timely reminder to strive to uphold values that Gandhi lived by: the promotion of dignity, equal protection for all, and communities living together in peace. According to the General Assembly resolution which established this commemoration. This day is an occasion to disseminate the message of non-violence, including through education and public awareness. The resolution reaffirms the universal relevance of the principle of non-violence and the desire to secure a culture of peace, tolerance, and of enduring relevance of non-violence. The wide and diverse sponsorship of the resolution was a reflection of the universal respect for Mahatma Gandhi and his philosophy. He remains a renowned global icon. His vision continues to resonate across the world, including through the work of the United Nations for mutual understanding, equality, sustainable development, the empowerment of young people, and peaceful resolution of disputes. In today's turbulent times, violence takes many forms. It stretches from the destructive impact of climate emergency to the devastation caused by armed conflict, from the indignities of poverty to the injustices of human rights violation to the brutalizing effect of hate speech. On this year's observance, we have a special duty, I repeat. Stop the fighting to focus on our common enemy, COVID-19. There's only one winner of conflict during this pandemic, the virus itself. Nonviolence must continue to underpin and shape our efforts to foster inclusive, equitable growth. It remains relevant because despite the phenomenal developments witnessed in recent decades, extreme poverty has not been eradicated, and inequality is rising within and between countries. These challenges threaten our economies and fray the fabric of our societies. As we work to overcome these challenges, there is a great scope to draw on lessons from Gandhi's life. His belief in non-discrimination is a precursor to the approach taken to sustainable development by the United Nations 2030 Agenda. A commitment to inclusiveness has shaped the UN's pledge to leave no one behind, and the recognition that dignity, equality, and equity are fundamental for every human person. Gandhi's commitment to dialogue, to religious tolerance, to arming ourselves with moral force rather than with physical power remain pertinent to all of us who believe in a more integrated, prosperous, and equal world. In concluding, I quote, "Non-violence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. It is mightier than the mightiest weapon of destruction devised by the ingenuity of man." Unquote. Gandhi constantly highlighted the gap between what we do, what we are capable of doing. On this International Day, I urge each and every one of us to do everything in our power to bridge this divide as we strive to build a better future for all. Let us be inspired by the spirit of Gandhi and the enduring principles of the UN Charter. I thank you for inviting us, the United Nations Association, here, and wish all of you a meaningful and memorable International Day of Nonviolence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I now request Mr. Anbarasu Rajendran, CEO, SINDA, to kindly address the gathering. Sir, please.
Guest of Honor, His Excellency Mr. P. Kumaran, High Commissioner of India to Singapore, much respected Mr. Amir Ali Jumaboy, Mr. Alexander Charles Lewis, President, United Nations Association of Singapore, Mr. Tushar Doshi, Second Vice President of GOPIO Singapore, Mr. Atul Tharmonika, Chairman GIS, brothers and sisters, students, very good morning. I'm very happy to be here today, and just like what Mr. Alexander Charles Lewis has shared, I got 3 minutes, but I think I can finish it in 1 minute because, sometimes when we come here to deliver a lot of things, we have many points in our minds, but I think 1 or 2 things blows your minds off and you want to cherish the moment. And for me, the prayers itself was, it is sum up the whole thing why we are here for. That the students were wonderful. They epitomized what Gandhiji wanted. And I think that itself it's a statement we want to tell everyone that we have to be what Gandhiji has preached. And in today's world, it has become fragile. It has become terribly fragile. I work in the social service sector. I work daily, at Cinder. We take care of not only the low income, displaced, and in today's world, the whole paradigm has shifted. I was just sharing with some of them, we have a new category called new poor. Those who are doing very well, today they have become needy. They don't know how to ask for help. They are suffering in silence. And there are many things apart from the financial assistance part. The mental well-being has come into picture and everything. But the good thing in this silver lining is that constantly there are people around the community to say that you're not alone in this. We are part of this. And in the last 9-10 months, in Singapore especially, there have been a lot of people, students, youths, and everyone says that this is a cause which we have to fight. This is a pandemic is something we can't do anything, but we can do something else. We can help those who are displaced. And in the last 10 months, we see a lot of people, they have been, even I see a lot of students coming to us and say that, sir, I don't have much money, but I can help out. Can I gather my friends, pull our pocket monies together and buy some groceries and give to rental flats? Can we do that? I say, sure, let's do it. And when they go to these homes, they feel that the person sitting there, he or she may not be related to me by blood, but he's a brother of mine. He's a sister of mine. The child who's there could be my younger sister. So I think this value of Gandhiji is as well immersed in our children, especially our youth. And I urge you that we need to continue this. Our seniors, our elders, our fathers, our forefathers have taught us these values. This value is something which we need to bring forward. And in about late 1980s, there was this acronym which was quite famous, VUCA. I'm not too sure whether anybody will remember, but at that time, everyone was saying VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. But people were not able to match that acronym with something. And then here comes Corona. COVID-19 came say that I'm the classic example if you want to quote me for VUCA. And it has changed the whole concept. And in today's concept, in today's world, VUCA is the mantra. People don't know what's happening. And everyone, we are just hoping and praying that a vaccine comes soon. But we have not given up the battle. In every way, you see, the youths are just so excited to help. And I thank them. Yeah. And the last but not least, to my student friends who are watching, just like what the other speakers have shared, one of my favorite quote is, the greatness of humanity is not being a human. I mean, all of us are born here, so being a human is nothing. But having the humane feelings in us which is very important. And I urge you that let us come together during this trying time to save the last man out there who is our brother and sister. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Let us now watch an Indian classical dance performance representing tranquility by some of our students as a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi, father of our nation.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहे सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्तिः शान्ति शान्ति समदृष्टिने तृष्णा त्यागी परस्त्रीजेने मातरे जिह्वा थकी असत्य न बोले परधन न बझाले हाथ रे वैष्णव जन को तेने कही जय पीड़ पराई जाने
Thank you so much, friends, for the wonderful performance. With this, I now take this opportunity to invite His Excellency Mr. P. Kumaran, High Commissioner of India to Singapore, to please come up on stage and say a few words. Sir, please.
Good morning and namaskar. Let me start by thanking Global Indian International School and Gopio for their support in organizing today's event. I wish you all a happy Gandhi Jayanti. I also thank everyone who has joined us online in this year's hybrid event format. It's a particular pleasure for me to see Mr. Atul Temurnikar, Chairman and co-founder of GIIS, Mr. Tushar Doshi, Vice President Gopio, Mr. Alexander Charles Lewis, President of the UN Association of Singapore, Mr. Anbarasu Rajendran, CEO SINDA, the respected Mr. Amir Ali Jumabai. Thank you all for joining the celebrations today. As was pointed out earlier, today is also celebrated as the UN Day of Nonviolence, a day when the world seeks to disseminate the message of nonviolence across boundaries of nation states. The name of Mahatma Gandhi also transcends the bounds of race, religion, and nation states. He is remembered for his passionate adherence to the practice of nonviolence and for his supreme commitment to humanism. He successfully demonstrated to a world weary of wars and continuing destruction that adherence to the truth and nonviolence is not meant just at the level of individuals, but can also be successfully applied to politics and global affairs. Today, Gandhianism is a philosophy that is studied very widely, and his ideas resonate to this day with leaders and policymakers around the world who are looking for solutions for providing people-centric governance, providing better standards of living to the people, finding ways to respect nature and address climate change so as to have human beings exist in harmony with nature. Gandhiji's humility and dedication to service make him a role model for many even today, and his ideas continue to resonate amongst our societies and inspire us all. His commitment to cleanliness has inspired the Swachh Bharat program that the Prime Minister launched a few years ago, exactly on this day. The Gandhian philosophy is more relevant today when the world faces an unprecedented crisis in the face of the COVID 19 situation. It has tested countries, leaders, as well as the people in many ways that are unprecedented. At the time of such adversity, Gandhiji's message of peace, tolerance, understanding, mutual support, and nonviolence assumes special relevance. Why was Mahatma Gandhi such a great man, and how relevant are his values today? Is it possible for us to read more about him, to introspect and examine what his key ideas are? Mahatma Gandhi was once asked what his message would be, and his reply was disarmingly simple. He said, "My life itself is my message." Some of his qualities stand out in an extraordinary way. Mahatma Gandhi exhibited unlimited energy and faith in his principles and methods. His resistance and persistence were legendary. He believed that forgiveness was an attribute of the strong, not the weak. And his greatest approach was to appeal to the adversary's conscience using truth and nonviolence as weapons. Mahatma Gandhi started out by trying out his methods in South Africa, where he used to be based initially, against the apartheid regime. He realized that very soon, after his first few experiments in South Africa, he realized that nonviolence was the answer to deal with the mighty challenges of imperialism and colonialism. He thereafter returned to India in 1914. At that time, the Congress Party, formed in 1885, was largely limited to the elite in India. Before that, there was the Servants of India Society. Mr. Gopal Krishna Gokhale had limited the activities mainly to submitting petitions to the British government and the Governor General in India. The credit for converting the limited activities of the Congress and converting it into a mass movement covering the entire population goes to Gandhiji. It eventually helped us get independence from the British Empire. Now, Gandhiji used very interesting methods. He first started in the 1920s with techniques of non-cooperation, which refined subsequently to civil disobedience, and he further built on it towards the end of the 30s and in the 40s to convert it to a Quit India movement, which culminated in 1942. The interesting part is that by then the movement had assumed such a mass character that even after the British government at that time arrested all the leaders of the Congress, the movement still was able to spread among the masses and pose a significant challenge to the British Empire in India. In 1925, Gandhiji wrote in Young India that it is impossible for one to be an internationalist without being a nationalist. Internationalism is possible only when nationalism becomes a fact. That is, when people belonging to different countries have organized themselves and are able to act as one man. Gandhiji's remarkable success was also due to the fact that he was able to combine his methods with symbolism associated with the common man. He was able to use simple symbols that has the charkha or the spinning wheel and the khadi, the Indian homespun cloth, as symbols of economic self-reliance and empowerment. To successfully implement his philosophy of civil disobedience, he chose something as simple as salt to defy the British tax laws. it captured the imagination of the people, and it was so easy for people to follow that the success that it achieved was astounding, and it shook the very foundations of the British Empire in India. I'm also very happy to see that modern schools like GIIS, which not only house the very best state-of-the-art facilities for education children, have also made the commendable effort to merge technology and the teachings of Gandhiji. The Mahatma Gandhi Center for Universal Values, with the objective of preparing our future ambassadors of peace and nonviolence, is a welcome way to spread the message of Bapu to the future. The High Commission, for its part, has been actively involved in organizing several events to mark the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. In fact, today marks the culmination of the 150th year, and we began our celebrations over a year ago, 2 years ago, in fact, with the unveiling of the Mahatma Gandhi plaque at Clifford Pier by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This plaque commemorated also the 70th year of the immersion of Gandhiji's ashes in Singapore. This year, as was pointed out by speakers before me, local restrictions due to the pandemic have compelled us to structure our events differently, and indeed, a hybrid format has been adopted. We also had a Gandhi Katha by renowned Gandhian Dr. Shobhana Radhakrishna a few days ago, which was broadcast online. We organized an online painting competition on the theme of cleanliness, which saw spirited participation by students of various schools, both Indians and non-Indians. I had an opportunity to meet the winners yesterday and to congratulate them. Many of you would have seen the one-page supplement we carried today in Straits Times. We're also running a 2-day video projection on the walls of the High Commission, carrying the message and the philosophy of Gandhiji. We're also doing a number of other programs with children in various Indian schools in Singapore. Our social media handles will be very active today with several videos and posts relating to Gandhi and Gandhian values. In these times, when most interactions have become virtual, there is still a need for us to continue our activities in a way that promotes our core values and enables us to stay connected. Events like these, despite the challenges of limited participation, allow us to reach out to the Indian community. I hope that soon we are able to return to our normal format of activities and that we are able to continue our conversation in the way that we are accustomed to. I once again thank Mr. Atul Temurnikar, GII's team in general, GoPio, UN Association in Singapore, and others for working so hard to make today's event possible and for working closely with the High Commission of India. We look forward to more cooperation in the future and to working with all of you again. Thank you very much. We hope that this event helps us imbibe some of the key teachings of Mahatma Gandhi and to adopt them in our own lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Requesting you to kindly stay back on stage and receive a small token of our appreciation. Requesting Chairman, Mr. Atul Temurnikar, to kindly come on stage and do the honors. Sir, please. I also request Mr. Tushar Doshi to join us on stage. Thank you, sir. Requesting Mr. P. Kumaran to kindly take his seat in the audience. May I now request Mr. Alexander Charles Louis to come up on stage and receive a small token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Alexander Charles Louis to take his seat in the audience. May I now request Mr. Anbarasu Rajendran to come on stage and accept a small token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir. Requesting Mr. Rajendran to kindly take his seat in the audience. Mr. Tushar Doshi would now like to felicitate our chairman, Mr. Atul Tamnikar. Sir, please.
May I now invite Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Assistant Secretary, Gopio, Singapore, to propose the vote of thanks.
His Excellency Mr. P. Kumaran ji, High Commissioner of India to Singapore, Mr. Atul Temurnikar, Chairman GIIS, Mr. Tushar Doshi, Vice President Gopio, Singapore, Mr. Alexander Charles Lewis, President United Nations Association of Singapore, Mr. Anbarasu Rajendran, CEO SINDA, most valued invited special guests, ladies and gentlemen, and students of GIS. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Gopio Singapore and Global Indian International School, would like to thank His Excellency Mr. P. Kumaran ji for delivering the keynote speech. In his speech, what I understand the supreme commitment for humanism of Gandhiji's core value, resonation of Gandhiji's ideas and values in present time, especially truth and non-violence, tools to fight the mighty imperialism. Special thanks to Mr. Atul Temurnikar for his speech. As he mentioned, Mr. C.S. Dharmadhikari about universal brotherhood, tolerance, acceptance, kindness, humility, harmony, and peace. Special thanks to Tushar Doshi for his speech. As he mentioned, Gandhiji's fundamental principles, truthfulness, non-violence, simple living, and need and greed, he mentioned. I would like to thank Mr. Alexander Charles Lewis for delivering the message on this special occasion, United Nations International Day of Non-Violence and Gandhi Jayanti celebration. As he mentioned, the values, Gandhiji's dignity, universal relevance of non-violence and respect, dialogue, tolerance, equal world. I would also like to thank Mr. Anbarasu for his speech, 1 minute speech. Compassion, community help, as he mentioned about the students, the 1980s, the VUCA term in this uncertainty time. I must say that the audience, me and all are inspired by all your great words, your sharing of Mahatma Gandhi's beliefs, teachings in a short 1 hour period. Thank you. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to the young and talented GIAS team who gave us the Sarvadharma prayer and a dance performance by GIAS students, and to the MCs and the 2 MCs for taking us through the event. I congratulate and thank their teachers for bringing out the talents of these students. Ladies and gentlemen, despite COVID-19 pandemic, Gopio Singapore and School has put up this event to remember the great legend and peacemaker Mahatma Gandhi ji on his 151st birthday celebrations and United Nations International Day of Non-Violence. With many challenges, the team of school and Gopio had put this event together here as well as on the virtual platform for many others to view this event virtually. I must say hats off to the great team and collaboration. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank Ms. Sarita, Ms. Mamata, Ms. Naida, Mr. Vishal, and their entire GIIS team, together with Mr. Amir Ali Jumabai, Mr. Tushar Doshi, and their entire GoPio team for their hard work and in organizing this event. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. Last but not least, I would like to thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, and students of GIAS for your attendance today to make this event a very special one. A very big thank you. See you really soon. Thank you.
With this, we have come to the end of our session for the day. I take this opportunity to thank all dignitaries who came to our school and made it special for all of us here. Thank you all once again.